Which Canadian authors were inspired the TV series? Focusing on this environment.
Which Canadian what?
Authors
Yeah.
were.
J.K. Rowling.
Okay, wait.
And the answer is?
And the answer is
Drake.
You don't know.
In the fight against climate, if you're the winner, you're the loser.
Wow.
If the fight, yeah, that's
I know.
Yeah.
No, it makes sense.
So it means you're the one gaining the
one-
most and doing the least.
You're winning a whole
Trash
industry.
is cash.
Right.
Trash is cash.
Trash is
exactly.
cash.
Yeah, yeah.
Right,
And the cartel
right.
too.
Yeah,
Anyway, yeah, so anyway, sorry guys, yeah, we had our own game.
Sorry. Yeah.
No, it's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just with everything that you said, then what do you think? No, it's fine. What do you think? If we say change starts with you as a creator, and you can see that there's a huge gap between what's happening globally, all these COP conversations, what do you think it's going to take for the creative industry to actually understand and take ownership as opposed to a conversation that they hear and it's like, whatever?
I'll go first. I don't think you can have a conversation about climate change from where we are standing without having a conversation about climate justice or climate injustice. We know that when it comes to the graph of the contribution of greenhouse gases, we rank among the lowest. Yet we're the ones that very likely might pay the highest prices because those that have the cards behind their back are already placing everything that they need to make sure that a larger part of their population, or let's say the richer part of the population, will stay protected. We don't have those protections ourselves. So I think that conversation would begin with, okay, how did we get here? And not put it on ourselves. And then now agitate for change. Just the same spirit that's going on with the revolutionary movement now, where this problem that we're in now has been caused by people from previous generations who thought they could just eat of the earth without any regard for what happens after they have done that. I think that would be one place to begin.
To add on to that, I think conversations like this, for me, this conversation has felt very layman. As much as there's been some difficult questions, putting people who don't speak the jargon and the lingo and then asking them and using us for the viewer to then and also be like, even I didn't know that. Oh, these guys don't know. And now that we don't know this thing, what is this thing?
Yeah.
You get what I mean? So this, from an awareness perspective, is actually exactly what you said, the palatable packaging of the problem or of climate change, because
It's true.
that alone is a beautiful start. So more of this.
Yeah, I'll also add this. KBC, which was a national broadcaster, I remember growing up, Richie knows how I like to tell these stories, when the conversation about the environment was actually quite simple. I'm talking about the early 90s. It was a very simple conversation. Yeah. We were fighting to protect the ozone layer from CFC gases, which we succeeded in doing. Yeah. Ozone layer.
It was such a cool concept.
It really was, and it was like, the ozone layer. Like we have gases, carbon, fluorocarbons. I think that's what's there. Yes. What?
Chlorofluorocarbons.
Chlorofluorocarbons.
Yeah.
Yes. Are coming out of these spray cans and fridges. The electronics like those, and they're creating a hole in the ozone layer, and now we're more exposed to dangerous sun rays. And there was very creative ways of letting us know. It was about conversation around the environment, was about keeping our environments clean. It was agitating against big industry from releasing gases that did not contribute to a greenhouse effect but made the air dirty. And there was talks about acid rain. I remember acid rain and discolored snow. And I remember we'd see all of this stuff in the inter-primary schools debates. It was simple and accessible information that was made available. But it came most simply. You guys, I don't know if you remember, but there was a cartoon on KBC about a little devil that was a circle. Its belly was a circle. It was called the vicious cycle. So this devil was a vicious cycle. And it would show up, for instance, where there was mercury ending up in water where there were fish swimming. So this little devil would end up in the fish. It would start in the industry, it would swim into the water. This devil would end up in the fish, and then the fish would end up on a plate, and then the guy who eats the
Gets-
fish
of course,
gets
hungry.
sick,
Yeah.
and the devil is there laughing. It was simple
storyteller.
stuff.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
storytelling that was very, very, very simplified. But once you have a lot of these people with such big interests who complicate an issue in the same way that Israel and Palestine is complicated. No, it's not. You can still have it down to a story along a certain path that even a 5-year-old would understand.
Yeah.
I think that's where this climate storytelling needs to go.
Yeah.
Back to the simplicity of how do we end up here? How do we go back? How do we reset?
Actually, yeah, to add to that, I want to say, you see, the art of storytelling is with everybody. It's with artists, it's with musicians, fashion designers, it's with everybody. But I feel like it's exactly what you said. It's so complicated from what you hear. It's coded language everywhere. You want to do summits, high-level summits, so this one translates to this, which translates to this. Sometimes I'm like, it's so simple, because no wonder the youth don't want it, because when they hear about it, the first thing they think is, what's my personal responsibility one more time? There's no call to action for me to do. So unless we change the call to action to be as simplified as that, drink this and you die, take this and you do this. Like, give me the consequence that comes with everything. I feel like we'll have an easier conversation going forward. But the more we continue with, and I'm so sorry for conferences, and I know I'm an organizer for such, but this conference leads to this, which leads to this, then you present this policy which leads to this. Then I'm like, by the time we are done down, the whole year we were in conferences, we've done 12. Did we move?
Yeah.
No.
How much money was spent on these
which
conferences?
is back to your question. The money spent, actually exactly that, the money spent on the conferences that we have done, can it be used to diffuse that information to 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds? As they grow to the youth, it becomes easier. So that it's not a high-level conversation anymore, because that's where it remains. No wonder it remains a cash grab for many.
There's, I remember, so with like the climate conversation and climate action, since now guys have moved now from climate change to just climate action, is a very resource heavy convo. Like you can't change anything unless there's money involved and rallying of support and policy, right? So one of the things we realized while I was at the foundation is people that come into this space, they come and say, okay, we have $10 million, $10 million. We want to go to Uganda. What can we do there? And then they say, okay, we need it community-led. So they find someone who's doing something with recycling, and then they support. But you're like, you're doing the same thing, you're just pouring money to a problem. So there was one, we kind of toyed around with it for a while, and then there was a partnership with a company called Africa No Filter. So the concept was, you bring the pool, the bucket of cash, you put it here. It's like putting like cheese for a rat or whatever, and then you leave. You move away, because once the young people see, they're like, oh, this is another fun, whatever. So they leave, they let creative development come. Creative development comes and says, we're gonna invite Mugash, Astar, Joy, take whatever amount you feel is what, go do conversation on climate your way. You do, if you let's say you're Octopizzo, you're gonna do an album, do it, but we're not, there's no KPI, there's no...
They're not art directing.
That's what they did. And so the call out was for bloggers, writers, videographers, YouTubers, who even go to the streets and talk about lifestyle, musicians, whatever. Just take this cash, say what you need, do it. We'll do it as a sample. If it works, we'll revisit. So I feel like that really worked with the... And
it worked.
It did. I mean, to some extent, obviously, because like if you hear, let's say like, let me give a local example, like Calligraph saying, like saying his clothes are, I don't know, recycled from what, you'll be like, damn, who did your clothes? Let me do. But, you know, like in a way that doesn't look like it's an agenda. It just looks like the way they do things. So I found that approach crucial, because the climate conversation is very political as well. Very, 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 very. So they tried to remove those political nuances.
Right.
Yeah.
We just saved the earth, guys.
Yep.
Yeah. Wait, another tremor is about to...
Well done. I like that. Any extra question?
What?
Guys, we just started.
You want the last one?
Yeah.
You want one?
Don't threaten us with a good time.
Which Canadian authors won? inspired the TV series The Handmaid's Tale, focusing on dystopian environment.
Which Canadian what?
Author's work.
J.K. Rowling.
Okay, wait. So
Canadian.
say that again.
Oh,
So,
Rowling
which
is a
Canadian authors work
I'm gonna get
inspired
somebody.
the TV series? I'm
Peter
already giving it
Clay.
away.
Exactly.
Handmaid's Tale. I'm already giving it away.
Is it not the Handmaid's Tale?
Okay, but focusing. So, what's the name of the author?
Oh, the name of the author.
So close. Love it.
Yeah, also.
The handmaid still wasn't the question.
Yeah, I know, but I thought, it's a book. If it's a TV adaptation of a book, that's the name of the book.
Yeah.
Could be a trick
It's
question.
you, you're looking at Peter
not
Kay.
No, I was looking at somebody.
No, I don't know who wrote The Handmaid's
Not to
Tale.
be confused with Peter Kay.
And the answer is?
And the answer is
Drake.
You don't know. Finally, Tupac takes it.
What was it?
Margaret Atwood.
I would have
Right.
never
Hey,
guessed that.
yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, that's the final one. That's
Yes,
the final
that
one.
Okay.
we all got it.
Guys, I wish it was
Great.
you, and just, you know.
No, thank you for not scoring us.
Yeah.
But the winner is Georgie.
Completely agree. In the fight against climate, if you're the winner, you're the loser.
Wow.
If the fight, doesn't
Yeah, that's
I know.
no, it makes sense.
That
So it means you're the one gaining
You're the
the
one-
most and doing the least.
or polluting the most.
That's gaining the most.
So why
Because
should-
your
why should
industry is
creators care?
gaining.
So let me ask a
What's
question.
British care?
Yeah.
As you ask that. What's your question?
My question is, so where are we in Kenya? If we were to rate us out of 10. You see, we don't even know that question. We don't even have an
So
answer to
those are
that.
some of the
Are
things we
we
need
are
to
we at
start.
2 out of 10, doing very badly?
But who's on whose
based on-
scale?
That's you see what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
on whose scale?
you know when we say things are bad.
Yeah.
If my account can tell me very quickly how good or bad things are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, from a measurement scale, are we able to let somebody understand if you say, hey, things you have to take climate change seriously, things are difficult. Where are we? What's happening? Oh, the ozone layer, there's a hole. Okay, how big is that hole before it all?
Actually, we just know
to-
it rains in July. No, there are many. Yeah.
That's what shows us things are bad. But you see,
Naivasha is
when
flooded.
that shows
Yeah.
us,
Patterns and
that's a good thing because it shows us things are bad, and then therefore action is being able.
Yeah.
People are able to move from conferences to action.
Yeah.
So the question is, how can, without the consequence of people dying, people losing property, houses, their livelihoods, how can we measure to be able to communicate to then people, even if it's just a creative piece that now the creatives take and say, guys, this is where we're at. You get?
Yeah. There's one of the things that has, I think around this time, even Kenyans, we saw how Kenyans responded to like issues of the constitution. Guys were just saying like,
Yeah.
guys can take heavy info if it touches them directly, right?
Yes.
We saw, I think this is the first time Somalia contributed to the EAC budget.
Oh.
Right? And guys were saying, so Somalia that just became a country the other day contributed and DRC has not. You know something like that. But now with the conversation on climate, because there are 197 countries, I think, in the UNFCCC, and you're judged according to how you contribute to the agreements and the conversations or with the Paris Agreement, what you said earlier. So I feel like it's so complex, like purposely complex.
Yes.
One of the biggest things we've done that they did before was saying, I don't know, fridges from LG or whatever, they have a certain liquid in the fridge that we need to stop importing. We're like, how? I'm just minding my business. Like, if
I
this
just
fridge
want
is
my
20K and this one is 25, I'm going 20.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And primarily they're trying to say, oh, this one can, if you knock on the door, instead of opening it, you contribute less to destroying the environment.
Is that why they made those? Come on,
Yeah,
dude.
opening a fridge. By the way,
I just
there's
thought
a
it
whole
was
percentage.
cool.
There's a whole
man.
percentage in the world about contributing to emissions when you open your fridge.
Oh, come on,
It's a whole, that's the basis, R&D basis on a fridge.
Which
that
is
you
why
knock.
now, so if you knock, okay, if I knock and there's a soda in there and I can see it, I'm still gonna open. No one sorted it.
No, but most of the time when you open the fridge, you open to check what you have.
And that cold air came
So,
out. So imagine
yeah.
a million of you all
All
opening
of it at the
once.
same time.
That's the story.
That's the point. So they tell you, you just knock, see, make up your mind, I'm not going to open, then you go. So when you open, you're sure. Imagine.
Guys.
So why is that ridiculous though? Like, isn't that?
It's
Because
brilliant.
there are guys
It's
who are
brilliant.
removing. No, that is.
No, it's a brilliant.
Can I say why I think it's great?